I was quite impressed with how philosophical we got there at one point.
I tell you what, mate.
We sounded quite clever, I think.
Do you know what? Eventually we could just start becoming life coaches.
Oh, brilliant. In this episode, we managed to look at how everyone's lockdown training is going. We discussed how progressive overload can still be achieved at home in your home workouts, and a little bit about what's happening on the Jones the Trainer app. We then also discussed just a little bit about how Mark and myself spend our downtime during lockdown, and a little bit on what we've been reading and also viewing. Hello again, everyone, and we're back. We're in the new year and we're on season 2, episode 3. So thank you for joining myself and Mark today. Welcome along. Mark,
hi,
how's
guys.
things going, mate?
Yeah, good. Okay, mate. How's things with you? What have you been up to?
Yeah, okay. Lockdown, isn't it?
Yeah.
Here we
Not
are.
much you can do. Looking forward to the shops to get the groceries.
Yeah, it's like not a million miles away from the 1 year Jones the Trainer anniversary, and we've spent about 90% of that in COVID world and lockdown, maybe even more than 90%.
But it definitely wasn't down to us.
Yeah.
I know we started this last February, and then a month later lockdown starts happening, but that was purely by chance.
Yeah, some people are convinced, especially Lucy. Anything that ever goes up, Lucy seems to respond and say, "This is you guys that have started."
Yeah, you did this starting that online training.
Yeah. Purely coincidence, honest. Never ate a bat in my life.
Oh, God. I actually can't believe it. That is almost a year that we've been, a year ago that we first started this as well.
Yeah.
Some journey.
Yeah, big time. So what's been happening? How's the year started?
Well,
strange feel.
Yeah, it's been strange, eh? And, usually sort of December, we're all gearing up for a mad rush for January.
Yeah.
Especially when, with the gyms open and you know that there's going to be a flood of new members. And I think it was a little bit the same. People maybe had some unrealistic expectations about 2021, and with the gyms closed, I guess it's been a bit of a muted response to people signing up for fitness things. And you can't really blame anyone. It's a strange old time.
It's just like you say, it's been so mad. You usually go from that busy December, but it's a busy social December, if you like. The wheels and everything start to fall off your training, and Christmas and New Year, all that. And then you kind of have that kind of lull period, but then it just goes, for us anyway, it's all go. And from new clients or clients starting back and revising what goals they're looking to achieve. And then also for me as well, and I've really noticed it from managing a health club, usually when you go back into January, it's all about 100 miles an hour, sales, new people coming in, and you've just not had that. So January's felt very hollow. It's been strange.
Trying to adapt to another lockdown, another restriction. The gyms are open just before Christmas. People were getting back into the swing of their gym routines and their training plans, and then it stops again. And that kind of stop-start. There's no consistency with any of it. It's difficult you can't plan for it. There's no planning for it. You're then switching everybody back over to home workouts. You can just see people's heads dropping a little bit.
And it's such a shame as well for the amount of effort that gyms have put in to make it everything spaced out 2 meters apart. Everything's getting sanitized every hour.
You're trying to get me on my soapbox, aren't you? You're trying to get me on there. You're trying to get me to go. I can see it.
And it's such a shame. Like, I was at the supermarket this afternoon, won't name the supermarket, Morrison's. And again, you can't blame them, but every second checkout was closed off. You're queued halfway up an aisle, and the amount of people coming past you, the amount of time you spend in store, you're touching all this stuff that everyone's touched, and it's just bizarre. And again, you've got to have supermarkets opening, and I'm not saying that, but you just feel sorry for gyms, and then it has that knock-on effect, everyone's physical and mental well-being at the same time.
Well, I mean, you've seen the petitions going around. Everyone that works in this industry or is involved in this industry is screaming to be able to keep gyms and places of exercise open for people to go to address their physical health and their mental health. They're all sticking to the guidelines. There's a particularly well-known gym down in Liverpool now. The guy's been pretty vocal about it, but I agree with what they're saying. And if you think about, if they're limiting the amount of people going in, they're sticking to their COVID safety regulations, then I can't see what the issue is. But yeah, who am I to say?
Yeah.
The government have done a sterling job.
Yeah. Was that Liverpool one? Was that the guy that just kept his gym open and just took all the fines? Was that the same one?
That's right. That Nick Capper. Yeah, he's a pretty big celebrity now, isn't he? He's getting involved. You see him quite a lot, putting his opinion down. But he was right, and it was a bit of a stand, and it didn't do him any harm for his followers.
No, absolutely.
And his profile.
Not. Yeah.
But I agree with the guy.
Yeah, and so many people do. But hey, hopefully we can get back to that soon.
Be
patient.
You've got to be patient, and you and I are dealing with a lot of members, a lot of online members, a lot of face-to-face members, having to try and get them to, one, to keep their motivation levels up, and two, to then switch their plans to the home training. So trying to keep them, training them online, trying to make sure that they stick to their plan. Maybe when people's motivations kind of dipping a little bit, everyone's getting a bit fed up, and it is touching everybody now. Everyone I speak to, they've got some kind of lockdown or restriction story or gripe, or understandably, some people are having it worse than others. So you can see why you can't blame anybody for going, do you know what, usually I'd be tracking and sorting out my diet in January. I wouldn't tell anyone to do that. Personally, I'm not even thinking about going into any kind of calorie deficit for January, that's for sure.
Calorie deficits are not for the dark months.
No,
you need a bit of sunshine and warmth just to help get you through, don't you? But yeah, like you say, I think it has had a bit of an impact on people, more so now than at the start, and people are just, I think, struggling just to get the home workouts done and get that activity done the same way as they perhaps were before.
Well, my next door neighbour, I was speaking to her, and she said, I was reading this magazine, it had 5 tips for getting through lockdown. And she said the first one was establish your routine. She said, I'm sick of routine. She's like, I'm wanting away from my routine. I was like, no, that should be variety is the spice of life.
Like you say, everyone's had enough of that now. It's people are wanting holidays and to go out for nice meals and stuff. What do you think solution is for people then? I know we've got a lot of people that are members online that everything's had to kind of get changed again from a gym-based workout, and the content that we're now creating now is very kind of home workout specific. What advice do you think we can give people to get it done?
I think I'm kind of finding you're getting a little bit of a polarization. So there's a little bit of an extreme where you've got some people just don't want to do home workouts. People that love the gym, they love the social aspect of going to the gym. They've got all the equipment there, and you mention home workout and you just see their head go down a little bit. The motivation drops. They can't get themselves to do it because everything you do now is in your house. But on the flip side of that, we've got a lot of motivated clients that have just gone, right, well, I've got nothing else on. I'll take this time to train. They're setting themselves challenges. So I think we're seeing those kind of extremes. But I think where the motivation dip comes in is for people that maybe don't want to do the home workouts, is because you go to a gym, you've got trainers there. You've got equipment there. You don't have to think about it. You can sit on a piece of equipment and it does the movement for you. It's got a nice little set of instructions next to it, or you've maybe got a program in front of you, that you don't have to think about it. You then go home and you go, all right, so what do I do to replace my back squat? What do I do to replace a bench press? I've got no equipment. How can I do anything that's replicating? And because they've not got an instructor there on hand or a trainer there on hand, or they haven't got any posters or machines telling them what to do, you then got to start thinking about that. And then it seems like a bit of an uphill task. Therefore, home workouts don't happen. And even myself, I've kind of gone back and forth between going, right, everybody needs to get a grip of themselves and accept that they're in this for the long haul. Start doing your home workouts, to then going, right, I get why you don't want to do your homework. It's tough. So you and I have had to adapt by saying, right, listen, this is what we'll do. We'll plan out for you how you can do your home workouts. You've got a 4-week plan written out for you with demonstration videos showing you how to do everything, or you've got an 8-week plan or a 12-week plan, depending on how long you think you're going to need it for. And I think we've had quite a good buy into that. It's that we've written up plans that are based on no or low equipment, but they're adaptable to add in any equipment that you might have: dumbbells, resistance bands, pull-up bars, TRX, anything like that. It's easy to then adapt to. Right, there you go. and that's yours. And I think people have responded well to those plans that we've laid out for them. I think the answer is that to be staying in touch with the staff at the gyms, the trainers, the coaches. Obviously, I'm going to say us as online PTs,
of course,
but we will tell you what you can do in the house. It's not just a case of going, all right, I do my bench dips off a chair now. We can give you lots of variations and innovative ways of how you can challenge yourself.
Yeah. And then the interesting thing that we kind of discussed as well, one of the big things around training programs, and when we're setting something where we're wanting people to improve and develop, it's all about progressive overload. And that's still achievable at home.
Yeah.
And people... We'll talk a little bit about what progressive overload is, but people, I think, associate, because they don't have 100 kilos, 150 kilos of a deadlift to do, they can't go in and do their heavy bench press or squats, or they're not using a lat pull down, then they think, oh, well, I'm not going to be able to get the benefits from it.
That's right.
Which, to an extent, yes, okay, it's kind of true, but you can still achieve it at home, right?
You can still achieve it at home. There is always a way to make things harder. Okay. And this goes back to a post I did ages ago, right back at the start, when lockdown first came in. I had 10 points on how you can make things more difficult. Obviously, the first one that comes to mind, the first things that you think about are obviously adding in a weight somewhere. So you're increasing the resistance, you increase the number of sets you do, you increase the number of reps you do, although, sometimes it might turn into cardio or feel like it.
Yeah.
But there's different things, like you challenge the range of motion, and you challenge the muscle group in a different way. A little bit like when you're talking about a superset, you're challenging the same muscle group but with a different range of movement. A bench press followed by a chest fly, or a bench press followed by press ups. That's your superset. Do things like make your base of support smaller. So let's take a plank as an example. Rather than doing it off, both elbows and 2 feet, you lift a foot up off the floor.
Just lifting a leg and stuff. There's so many variations, isn't there?
So many. You can going from double leg to single leg, double arm to single arm.
Big time. And the big thing about kind of progressive overload, kind of as itself as a principle, is, ultimately, when we as human beings were put on this earth by the Lord God back in Adam and Eve days to survive. Our bodies are there to function, to allow us to breathe, to move around, to hunt food, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. But it's the bare minimum. And as soon as you then take your body and ask it to do something that's not accustomed to doing, and continually progress that's progressive overload. So if one day, for the first time in your life, you go out and you walk 5K, the next day you go out and you either walk 6K or you walk the 5K faster than you did before, it's progressive overload.
Our bodies adapt to stress. So, if you place a stress on your body, it's something that maybe is a bit of a challenge or something that you're not used to doing, your body will try and adapt to that stressor. And that's exactly your progressive overload. Yeah. We are a system of levers. I say this all the time. Yeah. Our bodies are made to move. We are a system of levers. I don't know whether it was God and Adam and Eve, although, I hear Adam and Eve are pretty hench.
Must have been that apple in the tree, right?
Exactly. He's getting his 5 a day in. But there's lots of ways to add that stress to your body. It's not just about overloading on stress. As we know, there are other ways to cause adaptations, but that's what it's mainly down to. Having said that, you and I live in Scotland. Just going out the front door stressful at the moment because it's so cold.
yeah, you're right.
That's also another thing that's I know is hindering people's motivation, and especially people wanting to get out for runs or cycles. That's definitely confining you to indoors.
And the good thing as well is we're still finding ways, putting principles such as progressive overload into people's programs, even people that have no equipment at home, which is quite enjoyable for me. So over the last few weeks, when working with clients, and we started to putting together the basics of a golf program for people to work up to in the summer and stuff. So you're trying to look at all these different elements of fitness, such as like getting power into a workout and elements of speed while you're still getting strength. This is done with little or no equipment. So it's getting my mind going, and I'm thinking, right, okay, what can you do that's relative to golf, but you're still getting all those fitness elements into it as well. So it's making me work, and it's actually getting me excited a little bit as well by just trying to find different ways of doing things.
We've got the training guides and the training plans on our website. We have a 12-week winter build. We've got our cutting guide on there, and we have our summer prep 12-week guide. Yeah. We've had all of those. They're all gym-based. Yeah. And we've adapted all three of those to be able to do them at home. And you're right, going through them with that fine-tooth comb and going, right, how can you replicate doing that, what you're doing in the gym there at home? It might not give you, exactly the same movement, or it might not give you exactly the same loading that you can get in the gym, but we're getting there. And you're right, it's making you think. Now, we both know the science and the training principles that underpin all of these plans that we've designed. We know all that. And now the art of coaching and training is how you use the science. So you're right, it's fun. It's fun for me. It's fun for you to be able to go, right, okay, well, we know how this works. How can we adapt all these plans and change it for people that are at home, and want to carry on with their training?
You totally encourage people. I mean, this could go on for a while yet, to try and get themselves some equipment for the house as well. And that can be a set of resistance bands, a skipping rope, a pull-up bar that are little cost and so readily available as well. And absolutely encourage people to do it. And our members as well, if they come to us and say, oh, listen, I bought these 5 different resistance bands off Amazon, what can I do with them?
Yeah, they can transform the workout
program. Totally.
Yeah. So although not as the BBC said, and resistance bands are much better for you than dumbbells. I had a little rant about that online the other day as well.
Have you managed to purchase any more kit for your home gym recently, or?
No. I did get battle ropes, but they've not really had much use.
Cardio.
Exactly, cardio. I mean, I started going through our training guides, and I've been following that in the gym and adapting it to what I've got, and then writing it down and putting it up for people to see. But even with that, I was kind of going through it going, oh God, we've put 15 to 20 reps in here. I mean, I never go above 12. What's happening?
Even 12's a lot for you.
I know.
A strength and conditioning coach is rarely above a 6.
Yeah, I know, exactly.
So yeah, it is difficult for everyone. And the big thing is that we appreciate that, and we struggle as well. But there's ways around it. We have to adapt. You have to adapt. Like you say, we understand why people are struggling. We can understand what the problem is, but we've both been training ourselves and going through the programs that we've been writing up so that we can experience the benefits. We know how good it is. We know how good you're feeling afterwards. So that we can give those to our online members. We know the benefits they're getting from it. And off the back of that as well, how's your training personally been as well?
Training for me has been okay. I actually started the week before New Year. I thought I'm just going to give myself a week to get back into it and then follow the guides that we've written up, or one of the guides. And I've been doing that and sticking to the training plan. It's been great. I've not been worrying about any kind of calorie deficit. I've been sticking to my maintenance calories and just enjoying my training. I don't think January, or this January in particular, is the time to start worrying about that. For me, that's kind of kept my motivation up. I've been consistent with my training sessions, so now I'm riding this wave of motivation. Talking about that kind of touches on what we were talking about for motivation for people, or people that are struggling with motivation. How do they get started? It's difficult, but I know that some people are fed up of not being motivated to do their training. So it's the same kind of thing that I always tell people. And this is the kind of time of year I always talk about the magic 3. And the magic 3 for me is start tracking your food without worrying about a deficit. Make sure you're doing at least 2 to 3 lifting sessions or strength sessions during the week. And hit your 10,000 steps a day. That is it. That's the magic 3. And when people start hitting their magic 3, their motivation goes through the roof. And then you can start going, right, let's progress your strength training. So it's definitely a case of starting small. And another one of my tactics that I like to do for people that are struggling even to get through the door of a gym or to start their workout at home, do your first 3 lifts or your first 3 movements. If it's a home workout and it's a bodyweight squat, some press ups and some crunches, just do those 3, forget about the rest of the session. If you complete it, usually by that point, you'll be like, right, I'll carry on, finish that session. Go out, run your first kilometre, or, walk and run your first kilometre.
See how you feel. because it is tough. And I find the same thing. I think I personally have struggled for home workouts as well. I still do them and I still force myself to do them. So I've been quite good right through the whole period. And even now I've cut it down a little bit now. So I'm still doing about 4 strength sessions a week. I know myself that the quality of them's not as great. I'm not pushing myself as hard. But as a result of that, I've now started doing a bit more trail running again.
Great.
Getting out on the mountain bike and stuff, because I know that I can't cheat as much at that. I know that I can get lazy when I'm in the house doing a home workout, and in between sets, I'm picking up my phone and my heart rate's dropping. And whereas if I'm out running, well, I at least need to keep running and prevent myself from walking. And it's about everyone trying to find a little something that just drives them a little bit more.
And how much better do you feel for it?
Well, you feel great, and it's that feeling of not wanting to do it. It's the last thing you want to do. You've got the TV on, you're watching Netflix, you've got a coffee, you don't want to do anything. But that kind of release of endorphins that you get once you force yourself to do it, after it, and you come home and you're all buzzing and you're chatting non-stop, and you just feel great.
That's it. And I've been having discussions like this with people, since the start of the year as well. And we know the link between mental health and exercise. We know that link. We know that the link between your fitness and improving your immune system. We know both of those are very, very important just now. I mean, if you could harness that feeling you get after the gym, and have that before, you're right. Sometimes you do have to go and force yourself to go out and do the workout. Once you've done it, you come back, you feel great, and it then becomes an anchor point for your week. Once you start getting back into that routine, your exercise sessions, you can't do without them. Some of my online clients that are saying, they just don't feel right unless they've got out for a run, or they don't feel right until they've completed their 3 sessions for the week. You do get that as well. So I think it's an important to establish that as an anchor for your mental well-being.
And even just like you say, when you refer to your steps being key, and if it's 10,000, 12,000 steps, whatever you're aiming for, just wrapping up, getting a big jacket on and a hat, whether it's a podcast or music or an audiobook or whatever it is, whatever your jam is, just get out there and do it, because you honestly will feel better for doing it.
Well, actually, when I go out for my walks is when my brain starts firing off a little bit more with ideas. I mean, that's usually when I start like hassling you and Amy with all the ideas that come in, going, right, let's try this, let's do that. Who's up for a podcast? That's usually because I'm out for a walk, and I'm just relaxing. I haven't got any other distractions, and all these ideas start coming. And
the benefits are there. Do it, you will feel better.
You will feel better,
And again, for our members as well, we're there to help, and we're there to bounce ideas off. And if you're struggling with something, then let's look at something alternative that might just spur you on or excite you a little bit to get it done. I'm sure you can find something. If you are struggling with your physical activity, there will be something you can do. So a little bit, you've been busy this last week in particular with the app and the website. It's looking very sexual now. You've been jazzing it all up.
Yeah, I'm quite excited about the way that the website's looking at the moment. And before, I thought it looked a little bit like a blog page, and now we've actually got a nice theme. I mean, doing the website's been a very steep learning curve for me since in the last 11 months, but I quite enjoy it. It's good fun, and the way it looks at the moment. So if you haven't checked it out, jonesthetrainer.com, have a look. Sign up for the famous daily emails, it's been quite fun to do. Been on a bit of a mission to address the engagement we've got with our online members, make the app nice and simple and user friendly. We've got some great content on there at the moment. I'm pretty pleased with how it's going at the moment.
And absolutely encourage everyone to jump on for the free trial.
Jump on for the free trial, especially if you're listening to this and you're thinking about, you haven't got the motivation, or you're not sure what you should be doing. We know what you should be doing. Jump onto the free trial, or just have a chat with us. There's no commitment. Just have a chat with myself or James or Amy. We're happy to help you out.
And the free trial is great as well for just getting the app downloaded. We drop in some of the content that we use for our members, and it just gives you a feel for it and see if it's something that would be beneficial to you.
Have a look round. There's a lot of cool features on that app.
Yeah.
You can play about with it. There's lots of bits and pieces that you can link up fitness trackers to, and you can have a little go at the sample workouts. You can chat with us. It's definitely worth jumping on. Commitment free.
Yeah, and I think the great thing now as well is we've got such a diverse group of members developing as well, from people that are just your general weight loss people. You've got some sports specific people coming in that are training for triathlons and stuff. Golf as well, people that are looking to develop strength. So it's really quite exciting that there's all these different things. So again, what that does for us is it increases the content that's on there. So we now have a whole host of different programs for different people that are wanting different things and different needs.
Well, the golf plan that you've been developing is great as well. What have you called that again?
The Bryson. So it's named after Bryson DeChambeau. So we've got John Laurie on that at the moment, who's working his way through it, and he's getting henge at the moment.
Yeah.
So,
well, any golfers on there, get in touch with James and ask him about the Bryson.
Yeah, on the Bryson. So it's exciting time. And again, this is the content that we create. It's just going to keep on developing. What else is going to be happening? How have you been filling the dark evenings? Have you been watching a lot of Netflix or Amazon, or?
There's been a bit of Netflix, Amazon, Disney Plus, and got a Nintendo as well. So
nice.
Playing Mario Kart and thrashing my daughter on Mario Kart. I say that, but I'm actually losing to her all the time. And we've been watching The Mandalorian.
Oh, nice.
I've been enjoying that. In fact, you can apply that to your training as well. Mandalorian, this is the way. So if you've been watching that, you'll know what I mean. If not, just ignore this bit. But get out. If you're thinking about your training, get in touch. This is the way.
Yeah, Netflix and stuff's a real saviour. It's kind of
Vikings. That's what I'm finishing off at the moment. Last season of Vikings.
Yeah, well, I came back into it just the other day. I kind of ran out of stuff, so I went back to it. So I think I'm on. Their seasons are really funny with Vikings, aren't they? I think they go season 601 and then the latest one 602. So I'm almost at the last season. So I think I'll finish that over the coming days. I've seen your sort of meme that you put on Instagram story today with is it the Ted Bundy tapes?
That's right. It was a meme saying, I switched off the news and put on a Ted Bundy documentary just to relax.
But yeah, it's so funny. All the ones that I've been watching on Netflix and stuff just now have got a sort of dark kind of undertone. Yeah. Watched The Night Stalker, which is well worth a watch if you haven't seen. It's a bit dark, and then The Serpent as well, which I think's on BBC iPlayer. Kind of very dark, kind of.
Yeah, there's loads of them. The Pembrokeshire murders, and one of my clients actually did say to me, she's a little bit worried that you've got all these people that can't get out watching all these murder-based documentaries and just going, yeah.
But if you want a little bit of lighter viewing, you can watch our good friend Guy Cowan.
Guy.
So I don't know if we've even mentioned Guy in this podcast. I think he's got away scot-free so far, which is quite...
He really has, yeah. He'll be loving this, though. Yeah, you can check him out. Guy for all seasons on the socials.
So recently, the Scottish actor Ian Robertson was completing a little 2-part kind of short series on the BBC of him completing the West Highland Way.
Yeah.
And of course, he knows the old friend of Guy's, and Guy obviously got asked along for part of the West Highland Way. So of course, anyone, even people who aren't into walking, you'd be well aware that the West Highland Way, you would turn up with at least a pair of kind of trainers and comfortable tracksuit bottoms or shorts or hiking trousers, or even better, walking boots and a rucksack. Not Guy Cowan. No. Guy Cowan turned up to this to do a little bit of food for Ian while Ian was on his journey. And Guy turns up in a pair of denims, a black T-shirt, a black leather jacket, carrying the food in a Waitrose bag.
Yeah, that does sum up Guy Cowan, to be fair. You wouldn't expect anything different from him.
No, you absolutely wouldn't.
Yeah, we'll put a link up to this, maybe.
It's kicking about on Facebook and stuff today, and he sent it out on WhatsApp, so we'll put a link. It's well worth watching, actually. I've watched the episodes, and it's just nice, easy, happy television, which is sometimes kind of what you want at this time of year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Another funny thing about it is when you watch it, Guy doesn't say a lot in it. And for people that know Guy Cowan, they'll know that this is not the norm, but I have my suspicions that he's probably said too much, and the BBC cut it all out.
Well, I heard that there was an editor at the BBC that had got a promotion recently, so an overworked editor.
How about books? You're a man for an audiobook. Have you?
Yeah, I love an audiobook. Usually, when I was driving about, but yeah, recently, The Chimp Paradox is a good book. In fact, I think it was the Sky team were using the methods for that, and it's very good from a kind of understanding your how we respond as human beings emotionally to things. And good at applying it to actual sport and athletes. I think it's used quite widely now with athletes, and understanding that we still have this chimp brain as well as the human brain, and how they interact with each other. The chimp brain being the kind of stronger of the two, if you like, and that's the one that's maybe what I can only describe as when you lose your shit. That's usually down to your chimp brain. But yeah,
is it Steve Peters, is that right? Have I made that up?
Yeah, Steve Peters is the author. Yeah.
He's a very kind of interesting guy, and like you say, there's a lot of athletes have kind of jumped onto this over the years. I'm trying to think. I know Ronnie O'Sullivan was a big one of it, and it helped him a lot. And Team Sky, like you said, and again, there's been variations of it. I listened to a podcast with Johnny Wilkinson. I think it was the Jake Humphrey High Performance podcast, which is actually one of the best podcasts out there. It's very good. And Johnny Wilkinson's on it. And Johnny Wilkinson's a very, very deep, but obviously very clever guy. He kind of talks about it, and he's kind of said, I've remember reading about the chimp paradox, and it just wasn't for me, but I developed my own version of it. With that whole idea where you have this chimp brain, and it's very clever. It's a book that I've never got round to reading properly, but I really need to sit down and.
Yes, it's an excellent book, and especially on getting a grip of understanding your emotions. And actually, I like the tie in there that you got with Johnny Wilkinson. I remember seeing Clive Woodward do a talk a long time ago. He talked about how he changed the World Cup winning team from English rugby. And how he brought a lot of business principles in, and it was obviously the side with Johnny Wilkinson in, and he talked about some similar things to what the chimp paradox talks about, but he also categorized his players. So he categorized them so that you had your warriors and you had champions, and he said it was about getting the right people on the right bus, but sitting in the right seats. As who's going to be in which position, and I think was it 3 champions? He said 3 champion players. One of them being Johnny Wilkinson, and I think the other one was Martin Johnson, and the third escapes me just now. But yeah, very, very interesting. Talking about being Johnny Wilkinson being a kind of deep thinker player, but somebody that would think deeply and properly put his body on the line. Again, good tie into the chimp paradox and the athlete mindset.
Yeah, and it's fascinating listening to these people who are a lot more clever than you and I ever will be, and just seeing their insights and stuff. But regardless, and it's the same with books. I know you've recommended some books to me before. The 4-Hour Workweek's an example. It's now a world famous book, and it's a book that I struggle to read, but I do pick it up, and I get so far in it, and there's always something I can take from it. The author of the 4-Hour Workweek, again, not anyone can just pick up the book and do what he did.
Yes, that's right. Yeah,
but even if there's just a couple of things you can take from it, and it's the same when you're listening to people, whether it be Johnny Wilkinson or whoever, you can take elements from them and put it into your own world of business or of training or whatever it might be. And I think it's important to have that mindset of, okay, I don't know everything, but I can learn as well. And those principles go into your training as well. Like, we're going to get novices that join up, and they're not going to know a single thing about training, but the idea is over time, you help to give them the knowledge, then structure their own workouts over a period of time, which is...
Well, actually, as well, going back to what we were discussing with motivation or trying to get yourself to do the training at the moment, there's another good book, which an audio book that I'd listened to called Eat That Frog, and that's by Brian Tracy, and that's sort of based around, getting the thing that you don't want to do getting that done first.
Yeah.
And actually now there's lots of examples about that online, people doing things that you might not want to do. There's one particular trainer online, the first thing he'll do at 6:30 in the morning, he lives near the sea, he'll go and swim in the sea, every single day. He's still doing that every single day because you don't want to do it. It's not nice, but once you've eaten that frog and got over that, the rest of your day's easy.
And again, it is so true. And it kind of relates to, was it Franklin Covey or Stephen Covey? It was one of the Coveys, and their kind of philosophy was, it was the same idea. And it's that principle of having a big bowl, and the bowl is full of a mixture of very, very small grain-like sand, and then there's some larger pebbles. And the idea is that we as humans, and it's all natural, is that if you relate that to a daily task list, and what you want to do is you want to go to the grain of sand, and you want to do that, tick off that easy task, get that off your list because you know it's dead simple. But you leave those big rocks to the very last thing because you know they're the hardest things to do. They're going to take the longest amount of time to complete. But his philosophy was always that if you take those big stones and you do them and you take them head on, the rest of the stuff falls into place. It's not not as important as you think it is.
What was it Marcus Aurelius said? Most of what we do and say isn't important. So focus on the stuff that is.
So I've got a couple of books. The first book was actually recommended by you when I remember saying to you, oh, what books have you been listening to and reading? And I was like, oh yeah, cool. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I'll order that off Amazon. Only I ordered the little pocket one by accident. It's the full book.
Well, that book is now so popular, it's almost become a cliche. Yeah, that was like an epiphany, that book for me. Almost, it's like it's common sense that you didn't think about.
So at some point I will get round to ordering the full size one at some point, not the little pocket. One of the best books I've ever read it's called Running with Kenyans. What the author does, Adhinaran Finn, basically uproots himself and his family and moves to the little village of Iten in Kenya, which is world renowned for being possibly the place for long distance running in the world. And he wanted to just kind of get an insight into why are Kenyans better runners for long distance than what perhaps British or Americans or Scandinavians are. So it's a really interesting journey just about him meeting the locals, some funny stories in there about all these kind of Kenyans because they're great at running, but it's a way of life and making a living to them. And there's some funny stories in there about how there's these people who are actually about 28, 29 years old, but they're entering themselves into the under-18 Kenyan championships so that they can win it, and then they'll get a place at the New York Marathon because they're the Kenyan junior champion, and then they'll make some money. And it's that kind of whole thing about nobody actually knowing how old any of them are. So yeah, it's definitely one to check out, Running with the Kenyans. I actually bought the book many, many years ago and lent it to someone, and I'm always wary about lending people books, and I never got it back. So if Neil Smith's listening to this, you still have my book.
Neil. Classic Neil.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to our latest episode of the Jones the Trainer podcast. Please like, comment, and share wherever possible, and leave us a 5-star review.